My biggest problem with my golf swing was hitting the ball to the right. And I changed that when I ended up learning how to make my shoulder turn a little bit more level through the impact area like that. I didn't do this. I was more level through the impact area there. And that's what you need to, that's what I learned I had to do to get the ball going straight off the tee.
When things go bad, I lose tight, I don't turn. When I'm tight or something, or like I said, not feeling great, I don't move. And movement or turning or rotation in golf is the glue. It keeps everything together. If you don't have that, you're done. And look at all the best players. I mean, the best turn in history is Tiger. And you see what he does with it. I mean, he's just, you know, he's good almost all the time. That move that you call head kind of getting a little bit behind the ball, it's about 1/8 of what it used to be. Back when I was 250.
To go for a little extra, I try to swing a little slower. Because when I overswing, like we were talking earlier, is when I usually get in trouble. So I just try to just swing a little slower and make sure I stay behind it, you know, and load that thing up. So if I can do that, stay behind it a little slower, I'm gonna have the opportunity to get the most leverage.
When I was younger, I used to cock the club up pretty quickly and get the club real close to me at the top of my swing. And this was maybe when I was 13 years old, 14. And my Uncle Bob told me he thought that I needed to take it away a little bit longer and lower and get more width in my backswing and through. And so without videotape, we're talking back in the 60s, without videotape, I didn't really know, other than just trying to take the club straight back for as long as I could. And so I got to the point where I started taking my hands back a little quicker than the head of the club, and then kind of a down cock in my swing. And I've tried to change it to make it look more conventional, to set the club right there and turn up, and it looks good, but I don't feel comfortable doing that on the 18th hole of the TPC with water to the left and a big old mound of grass to the right. So I've fought it over the years, and I wish I didn't have it in my swing so much, but I think one good thing that it's led to is the club remaining outside my hands. The club never gets behind me, the club head, and I don't think that's proper, to get the club behind you. I think getting the club up on the backswing and up on the follow-through gives you better leverage and more accuracy. And I've always been a pretty good driver. I've had to be, out of necessity, I guess, because I'm not that long of a hitter.
I don't burst a lung. Every golfer wants to hit it further, don't they? I mean, we all say swing slow and swing smooth, and they don't want to hear that. And the easiest way to do that is you've got to use the ground. That's your only point of fixation to this planet, so you've got to use that force. So, you know, bad knee work like this, you've got no chance. You've got to build a solid stance. This has got to be solid, you know, right foot, right knee, so you've got something to crank onto and then pull away from. That's the important thing. You know, too many golfers will get to the top and go for it, and top half and bottom half moves together. So if you're going to crank up, hang on to it while this unwinds, and then you power it all through, yeah? So, see if I can practice what I preach. So really wind her up, hang on to it, and get a bit of speed in that chest through. A little bit too much fade. It's in the greenside trap, so... Yeah, I said 350 was just a little struggling for me.
That should be perfect. Well, I think when I grew up, I was pretty much self-taught, and I just worked on hitting it straight for some reason. And I try to learn to keep the club head down the line as long as possible with very little compensations in my swing, which meaning I don't have to rewrite the club so much. You can really picture a guy that rewrites the club a lot as a Jim Furyk. He stands really close, takes the club out, and then drops it back in. Lee Trevino, you know, was rerouting. I decided for some reason that I didn't think that was the way to swing, that I was just going to try to take it back straight and back through on the same plane pretty much, and the club travels right down the line for a long time, and pretty much just try to hit the ball straight. I never really was trying to work the ball very much. So just something I learned as a kid and took it from there.
It's funny, everyone always teases me about, you know, well, not only teases me, but comments about how fast my swing is, how quick it is. You can have an upbeat rhythm, which I like to think of my swing being, but the first 3 feet away from the ball has to be smooth. It doesn't matter if it's quick, but it must be smooth. And yeah, that's what I work a lot on. I work a lot on trying to keep that first 3 feet away from the ball nice and smooth.
I don't try to hit the ball 100% when I'm in the pressure spots, because if I'm probably doing low 90s, that's what it feels like. But I'm probably 102. So the key is not to be 110. And that's when you see these shots go, you know, these crazy ways. I always felt when I was coming down the stretch that if I had to hit fairway after fairway after fairway, then I could do it, because I would try to underachieve swing speed and make sure I was plenty comfortable. And if I wasn't comfortable with my driver on this tee for whatever reason, then I probably would have hit a 3-wood. The fairway gets to be a lonely place.
All those guys that hit the ball a long way, you know, Ernie looks like he's putting a baby to sleep on the follow-through. It's like on his shoulder. It's about, you know, allowing the club head to pick up its own speed. The greatest mistake that amateur golfers make is trying to make the club head go fast with their hands and arms. You try and make it go fast with your hands and arms, you pull your own weight backwards, the club head slows down here. You either cut across it or, you know, catch it on the toe and hook it. If you turn the big muscles, leave the club head behind, you know, it looks slow. Freddie Couples is another classic example. You know, Vijay Singh, another great example. It looks like you're just it's languid, it's lazy, but the club head just whips through under its own speed. And that's why the average guy, when he's trying to lay up short of something, you don't want to leave yourself too long a next shot, so I'll just hit one more club and I'll hit it easy. Hit it easy, it goes further. It goes further.
This is a pretty good driving hole, and it's long. I grant 490, but playing downhill, so you can probably drive it, you know, at least 300. But all you want to do is hit this fairway, but it's so long that you've got to hit it a long way. So you don't really want to steer it, but since you're elevated, you can't, you know, stand up here and tee it high and let it fly. But I think it's a great hole because it looks tighter than it is. And that's, you know, should be great. If I could hit a lot more like that. You know, I have the tendency to kind of get the club out and up, but I do get it in a great spot. You know, I used to get across the line as I made much bigger of a turn. I get the club over here a little like Larry Nelson, and I would get the club back to the ball extremely square. And I was going at it so hard, I hit a really hard cut. That's what I live. I mean, I would aim this up into the junk, but I knew I was going to cut it every single time. Now my body, I can't do that as much. So I rely on, same thing, getting the club in a, you know, I have a strong grip, which helps me get the club this way easier, instead of, you know, making a big turn back away from the ball, a la most tour players. But I have a stronger grip, so I can get the club cocked much easier. And I think a lot of amateurs have stronger grips, which helps them. So I rely on just making a turn with my shoulder. I'm not so worried about where my lower body goes on the backswing. My problem is a lot of times I don't move the shoulder and I go just like this. And the club looks great, but I haven't moved my upper body. So if I can get that part down, and then once I come down, my lower body is just going as hard as I can to try and get through the ball and then release the club. And on that particular shot, I felt like I tried to hit it 80%, but everything went well, and I got the ball, I got the club to the ball really square, and I was aggressive through the shot. But a lot of times, if you do swing, or as we say, steer it, you don't want to be slowing down through the ball because any miss will make the ball curve a heck of a lot more. So I always try and speed up through the ball no matter what. Even if I tee it high in a par 5 and swing as hard as I can, I still am going through the ball as hard as I possibly can.
Distance in driving. It's a myth, really. Of course, you've got your Hank Heaney's and you've got your John Daly's who can turn physically a lot different from you and I. I don't turn, so I don't have that power that's generated. What I do is hit the fairways, right? But if I was to hit the ball harder, what I would tend to do is just swing the club longer, right? And let the shaft do the work.
My alignment's good, and then I try to make sure that I relax my hands and forearms, so I don't. If I get really tight, that's like the worst thing I can do, because my arm swing tends to get long, and then the ball goes everywhere.
The key to my golf swing is low and slow on the back on the takeaway, and that's that left hand.
For me, if I don't load up into my right side, like a baseball pitcher loads to the right, that's basically what we do. We just do it in different angles. But if I don't load up and then I don't put that club in the position I showed before where I was like that, putting it down the line, I lose trouble, I lose power. But if I can get to my right side here, deliver the club back down the line, this power is absolutely ready to explode in through the ball, and that's when I crush it. And then having a practice swing that replicate that fade. So I'm trying to keep that plant that fresh in my mind. And basically once I've done that, I'm just up there solidifying the movement of the ball, visualizing it moving in the air, and then obviously get in and execute. Oh, that was the swing of the day, that one. That's a peach. Well, the things I'm trying to obviously do, the things that are going to create power and accuracy, right? Basically for me, I want to create good posture, I want to feel like I'm nice and upright. Obviously want alignment, wants to be good and matching. In my takeaway right now, I'm trying to get the club not set there, but sort of basically just a little bit earlier in the hinging of the wrist. I want it back on plane, the plane I'm going to create. Then basically I'm turning into my right side here, storing some power there. That's where I am, that's where I like to be. When I'm at the top, I'm going to make a nice transition. I'm going to put that club back into the position, and I'm going to get to about here. That'll be sort of the freeze frame of where I want to be. What I do have trouble with is when I get a little in here, the club drops back here, leaves me that way. So back in this good position here, then it's, no matter what's happening under what pressure or whatever, the $2 bet or a tournament, you basically from here, there's nothing you do except release it. There you are at impact, nice and balanced, rotating through, and if your swing's really good, you'll have a good balance through and follow through and balance. So that's really my swing, all over in, I guess, about a second. Healy down the middle. It's always good to hit a bad shot down the middle. That makes sense. Better than a great shot in the trees.
Bash on this hole, this is a 3-shotter.
Yeah, this is a 3-shot hole today. You don't want throwing legs in the backswing, throwing legs in the through swing. I want stability in my knees. I want to feel that everything moves rhythmically, and certainly the way my hips move, I want them to turn. I don't want them to slide. I don't want them to start, moving. I want them just to turn around a stable platform. Once you do that, then the upper body should follow. Highly likely it's likely to follow. So that's a key, and that stuff I was talking about using on the leaderboard has made a big, big difference to me. The way my body's maintaining a shape, the way it's building a power in the backswing and then executing it right at impact, and not just before, not just after, and then obviously, a big solid follow through and follow the target. That gives me consistency, but the big upside too, it gives me length and gives me, that control factor.
It's a great shot.
See what we were talking about before? The first drive I've missed because I tried to hit it a little harder. Does it pay? Generally not. Good example right there.